transfer. Like there's something in this for us as well because we forget why we came. And why we came isn't about us. So he says, the following things, I have no praise for you. Listen to this, for your meetings do more harm than good. In chapter 9, we talked about that we don't want anything in the way we present ourselves or lead our lives. We don't want anything in that to be harmful to someone. You and I don't want anything that we do to detract them from knowing Christ. And so Paul said, hey, the way you're doing your meetings, it's doing harm. It'd be better if you didn't even get together because what you're doing is hurting people. And here's how. It says, for your meetings do more harm than good. In the first place, I hear that when you come together as a church, there are divisions among you. And to some extent, I believe it. Church, they're a struggling church. But I think in the context here, the reason Paul's laying this out again is he's saying, hey, it's not just in the community. It's not just in quiet places. But when you come together for worship, you're still squabbling. But I want us to hang out for just a second on this idea of division. We need to understand is that division is also one of the enemy's top weapons to use against us. If he can turn us against each other. Remember we talked about this at the end of Ephesians, that the whole passage on spiritual warfare where he talks about our weapons in this warfare are not physical, it's spiritual. It's not that I'm duking it out. It's not that I'm arguing my point against this person or that person. We've got to back up and see that there's this spiritual context in which we live and that a spiritual enemy is trying to use those breakdowns in our relationships against us. That is exactly why when you get upset at someone, there's tension there. And then the longer you go without talking to them, the more thick that tension becomes. And then you get to the place where you don't want to talk to them. And every thought about them is negative and frustrated and all of that. We think it's just because they're difficult. We don't understand the enemy is playing us like a guitar. And he's using that tension to keep us apart. That's why Jesus says, pray for them and then go make things right with them. Because then you diffuse that weapon of the enemy. And Paul is saying, part of your problem is when you guys come together, you're divided. You've got these divisions over, I'm with Paul, I'm with Peter, I'm with Apollos. You've got this, I eat the meat, I don't eat the meat. You've got this guy over here that took this one to court. I would think because of what he talked about in chapter 7 with marriages and stuff like that, there were probably tension in relationships and the breakdown of marriages. Like you've got all of this stuff going on in your congregation and you're bringing it in to worship, and that's a problem.